The gunshot that killed his mother still echoed in his mind, but the 7-year-old boy kneeling on the floor wasn't screaming. He couldn't. His mouth opened in silent terror as the maid crouched before him, holding something forbidden in her trembling hands. "Eleanor, don't." The guard's warning died in his throat. Too late. The haunting melody of a music box filled the room. The same lullaby that had been playing the night bullets tore through the car, the night Lorenzo's mother bled out in his arms, the night he stopped speaking forever. Footsteps exploded down the hallway. Lisandro Endrizzi, the Mafia boss whose enemies disappeared without a trace, burst through the door, his hand already reaching for his gun. "What the hell did you just do?" Eleanor's face was wet with tears, but her voice was steady. "What no one else had the courage to do, sir." "Courage?" Lisandro's laugh was pure venom. "You brought that into my house? You played that song?" His finger moved to the trigger. "You've killed yourself, woman." "Then I die knowing I tried to save him," Eleanor whispered, her hand still holding the forbidden music box. "Because that silence you call protection? It's a grave you've buried your son in." The room held its breath. Every guard waited for the shot that would end this foolish maid's life. Instead, a sound cracked through the silence like breaking glass. Uncle Dante, bad man. Lorenzo's voice, small, broken, barely more than a whisper, spoke words that would destroy everything. The name of the traitor, the man who wanted to steal Lisandro's empire, the godfather Lisandro trusted most. And in that moment, everyone understood. The maid hadn't just broken a rule. She detonated a bomb that would burn the Endrizzi empire to ashes. If stories of forbidden courage and impossible healing speak to your soul, subscribe and turn on notifications right now. What Eleanor does next will break your heart and put it back together. You won't want to miss this. The Endrizzi estate existed in permanent twilight. Marble floors gleamed like black ice. Crystal chandeliers cast shadows that looked like prison bars. Despite millions spent on imported stone and bulletproof windows, the mansion felt hollow, a mausoleum for the living. Lisandro Endrizzi ruled an empire built on fear and precision. His word was law across 3 states. Politicians answered his calls. Judges remembered his favors. But behind the tailored suits and cold eyes lived a father who hadn't slept through a full night in 3 years. His son, Lorenzo, had been 4 years old when he stopped speaking. No therapist, no specialist, no amount of money had changed that. Lisandro had flown child psychologists from Vienna, trauma experts from London, paying fortunes for hope. Each time, he returned to the same crushing silence. Lorenzo was 7 now. He had never called for his father in the dark. The only language he knew was the hollow echo of an empty house and the weight of a secret too terrible to speak. Eleanor Washington was new to the estate. A young woman in her late 20s who had come seeking work after her brother's legal troubles left her drowning in debt. She worked without complaint, never gossiping, never questioning, but beneath her professional exterior lived a heart haunted by a promise. Eleanor once had a younger cousin named Marcus. He'd gone silent after witnessing a gang shooting. She remembered holding him the night before he took his own life, wishing she'd been brave enough to break the rules that kept him locked in silence. Since then, Eleanor carried a vow. If she ever met another trapped child, she would do whatever it took to set them free. The first time Eleanor saw Lorenzo, he was arranging stones in precise geometric patterns. He wasn't building. He was counting, over and over, the same stones, the same pattern, the same silent scream trapped in repetition. His eyes were the eyes of someone drowning in plain sight. From that day, Eleanor started leaving small things where only he would notice. A folded paper crane, a smooth river stone with a painted smile, a note with a simple drawing of the sun. She only needed him to know someone cared. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Castellano, laid out the rules on Eleanor's first day. "You'll clean the east wing, 3rd floor. The boys' quarters." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You do not speak to him. You do not touch him. You do not even look at him, unless absolutely necessary." "What's wrong with him?" Eleanor asked. Mrs. Castellano's face went hard. "Nothing's wrong with him. He just doesn't speak. Hasn't said a word in 3 years. Mister. Endrizzi prefers it that way, keeps him quiet, keeps him safe." She turned away. The previous maid tried to help him. "She's not here anymore." Eleanor understood perfectly. In this house, compassion was a fireable offense or worse. She found Lorenzo sitting in the corner of his bedroom like a statue. 7 years old, dark hair falling into hollow eyes that showed no recognition, no curiosity, no life. He was arranging toy soldiers in perfect rows, then knocking them down, over and over. A prison of repetition. This child wasn't being protected. He was being erased. And when Lorenzo's eyes met hers for just a fraction of a second, Eleanor saw a desperate, drowning plea for someone to see him as more than a ghost. Eleanor didn't hear Lisandro Endrizzi enter. She only felt the temperature drop. "You're the new maid." His voice came from behind her, smooth and cold as a blade. She turned slowly. The man in the doorway was younger than she expected, maybe 35, with sharp features and eyes that assessed her like a jeweler examining a diamond for flaws. "I care about 3 rules," he said. "Break them, and you'll join the last maid who thought she knew better. Rule 1, you clean, you leave, you don't linger. Rule 2, you do not touch anything in the red room at the end of the hall. I'm the only one with the key." He moved closer. "Rule 3, you do not speak to my son, you do not comfort him, you do not try to fix him. He is broken, and he will stay broken. Your job is to clean around the damage, not repair it." His hand moved to his jacket, where Eleanor knew he kept his gun. "Do you know what happens to people who disobey me, Miss Washington?" Eleanor could only shake her head. Lisandro's smile was colder than winter. "You don't want to find out." But as he walked away, Eleanor noticed his hands were trembling, and his eyes held the same drowning look as his son's. On her 3rd day, Eleanor heard it, a soft, rhythmic tapping from beneath the window seat. Tap, tap, tap. Pause. Tap, tap. Lorenzo sat cross-legged, his small fingers drumming against the wood in a deliberate pattern. He was trying to communicate. Eleanor had seen this before. Marcus used to tap messages when words felt too dangerous to speak. She glanced at the door, then tapped back. 3 soft knocks on the bookshelf. Lorenzo's head snapped up. For the first time, his eyes were truly seeing her. Wide, terrified, hopeful. But then footsteps echoed, and he went statue still again, his face smoothing into that terrible blank mask. That night, Eleanor couldn't sleep. Over the next week, she left small gifts, a smooth stone on his windowsill, a folded paper crane. Each day, the gifts disappeared. Each day, the tapping grew more insistent. He was trying to tell her something, trying to warn her. And one morning, Eleanor found a crude drawing showing 3 stick figures, a woman, a boy, and a man with red scribbled all around him. The man's face was crossed out. Beneath it, one word scratched so hard the paper had torn. Danger. Eleanor found answers in the kitchen at midnight. Mrs. Castellano sat alone, staring at a photograph, tears streaming. Her name was Isabel, the older woman said. Mr. Endrizzi's wife, Lorenzo's mother. She pushed the photo across a beautiful woman with kind eyes holding a laughing toddler. Drive-by shooting. 3 years ago. Coming home from Lorenzo's 4th birthday party. The boy was in the back seat when the bullets came through. Held his mother while she bled out. She kept singing to him that damned lullaby even as she was dying. Eleanor's stomach turned to ice. What lullaby? Stella di notte. Star of the night. Mrs. Castellano began singing softly. Stella di notte, brilla per me, guida la strada, portami a te. The melody was hauntingly beautiful. Mr. Endrizzi destroyed every music box in the house, banned anyone from even humming it, but he kept one Isabel's music box locked in the red room. Said the song was poison, that it kept Lorenzo trapped in that moment. She leaned closer. I think he couldn't bear to destroy the last thing that held her voice. But maybe... No. Mrs. Castellano gripped her wrist. That song is death in this house. The last maid tried to sing it. Mr. Endrizzi caught her. They never found her body. But Eleanor had the melody now. She had the words. What if the song wasn't the poison? What if the silence was? What if Lorenzo needed to hear his mother's voice one more time, not to stay trapped, but to finally say goodbye? That's when Eleanor made the most dangerous decision of her life. Eleanor waited until 2 a.m. when the guard rotation changed. The red room's lock was easier to pick than expected. Lissandro probably never imagined anyone would dare. The room was a shrine frozen in time. Isabel's perfume still lingered. Photos lined every surface. On the vanity sat the music box, small, ornate, with hand-painted stars across the lid. Eleanor understood why Lissandro had left it accessible. He came here to wind it up, to hear Isabel's voice in the melody. His grief had made him careless. She tucked it under her uniform and slipped back into the hallway. Every shadow felt like Lissandro's eyes. When she reached Lorenzo's room, her entire body was shaking. The boy sat in his corner, arranging toy soldiers. When Eleanor knelt beside him and pulled out the music box, he went rigid. His eyes locked onto it with pure terror. "It's okay," Eleanor whispered. "I think you need to hear this, just once, to let her go." Lorenzo shook his head violently, covering his ears. But Eleanor opened the lid. The melody filled the room, delicate, haunting, beautiful. Stella di notte. The lullaby. A dying mother sang while her blood soaked her son's hands. Lorenzo's mouth opened in a silent scream, tears streaming. Eleanor began to sing, "Stella di notte, brilla per me." That's when the door exploded open, and Lissandro Indrisi stood there with murder in his eyes and a gun in his hand. "Stop." Lissandro's voice cut through the melody like a knife. Eleanor's song died, but the music box continued. She didn't move as Lissandro crossed the room in 3 strides. His hand wrapped around her throat, lifting her to her feet. The gun pressed cold against her temple. "I gave you 3 rules. You've broken every single one." "Please," Eleanor choked out. "He's drowning." "He's safe," Lissandro roared. "That song killed his mother. Every time he hears it, he relives watching her die." "No," Eleanor gasped. "Every time he doesn't hear it, he stays trapped there. He needs to remember her alive." "Shut up," the gun cocked. "You've signed your death warrant." 2 guards appeared in the doorway, hands on their weapons, waiting for the order. But then Lorenzo stood up. His small body trembled violently as the music box played its final notes. His mouth opened and closed, fighting against 3 years of silence. And then, in a voice raw and broken, he spoke. "Uncle Dante, bad man." Lissandro's grip loosened, his face draining of color. "What did you say?" Lorenzo's words came in fragments. "Uncle Dante. Car. Next to us. He smiled. Papa." Then, bang. Mama stopped singing. A sob tore from his throat. "He shot Mama. Uncle Dante shot Mama." Eleanor watched Lissandro's world shatter. Because Uncle Dante Rossi wasn't just Lissandro's most trusted advisor. He was Lorenzo's godfather, the man who wanted Lissandro's empire. And he was on duty tonight. Lissandro released Eleanor. His gun swung toward the guards. "Where is Dante?" "Now." One guard spoke into his radio, pale. "Sir, he's already on his way up." He heard the commotion. Lissandro turned to Eleanor, deadly calm. "If you're lying, I'll make your death last days." "Look at your son," Eleanor rasped, cradling Lorenzo. "He's telling the truth." Footsteps echoed, deliberate, unhurried. Uncle Dante appeared, tall and silver-haired, with easy confidence. "Boss, what's going on?" His eyes fell on Lorenzo, clinging to Eleanor, on the music box. His expression flickered from confusion to calculation. Lissandro saw it. "My son just said you killed Isabel." Dante's face smoothed into wounded concern. "Boss, the kid's been silent for 3 years. Now some maid plays a music box and suddenly he's accusing me? She's obviously working for the Vitalis. Is that why you've been telling me to institutionalize him?" Lissandro's gun rose. "Calling him damaged?" "I was trying to help you move on." Dante's voice turned urgent. "Don't let this woman destroy what we've built. Let me handle her." Eleanor saw Dante's hand sliding toward his jacket, toward his gun. "Papa," Lorenzo pointed with a shaking hand. "He's got a gun, like before, just like before." Lissandro's aim steadied on the man he'd called brother for 15 years. "Don't move, Dante. Hands where I can see them." Dante's smile cracked. His hands rose slowly, eyes holding pure venom. "You're really going to believe a traumatized kid over 15 years of brotherhood?" "Lorenzo," Lissandro said softly, Tell me what you remember." The boy's voice trembled. We were in the car, birthday balloons. Mama was singing. Then Uncle Dante's car pulled next to us, the black one with the scratch on the side. Dante's face twitched. He looked at me through the window, smiling. Then he showed a gun. Mama screamed. 3 bangs. Mama fell on me, still singing, but quieter. Then Uncle Dante drove away. "He's been coached," Dante snapped. "The scratch on your car," Lissandro cut him off. "You told me you got that 2 years ago, but Lorenzo described it from 3 years ago." Silence. "You wanted my territory, but you needed me broken first. So you killed my wife, made it look like a rival family, and positioned your own men throughout my organization." Dante's mask shattered. "You were weak, Lissandro. Weak with your happy family. The old ways are dead. I would have made this empire." Lissandro's gunshot caught him in the shoulder. Dante stumbled back. "Lockdown," Lissandro roared. "Full estate lockdown. Dante Rossi is a traitor." Dante laughed through his pain. "You think it's just me? I've got 8 men in this house. They're already moving." The lights went out. Eleanor heard running footsteps, multiple sets converging on their location. Weapons being loaded. The gunfire lasted 17 minutes. Eleanor held Lorenzo in the corner, her body shielding his as the mansion erupted into war. In the darkness, she heard Lissandro's lethal precision. He knew every inch of this house. The loyal guards rallied to his voice. One by one, the traitors fell. When emergency lights flickered on, Dante lay wounded on the floor, being dragged away. His coup had failed. Then, finally, silence. Not the dead silence that had haunted the estate for 3 years. This was different, the silence after a storm. The door opened. Lissandro stood there, covered in blood that wasn't his own. But when his eyes found Lorenzo alive, safe, something in him cracked. "Papa?" Lorenzo's small voice broke the stillness. Lissandro's gun clattered to the floor. He dropped to his knees, pulling his son into his arms. "I'm sorry," he whispered into Lorenzo's hair. "I'm so sorry, figlio mio. I thought the silence would protect you, but I was wrong. I was burying you alive." Lorenzo clung to his father, 3 years of grief pouring out. "I missed you, Papa. I missed you so much." But the words, they were stuck. "I know, Lorenzo. I know." Lissandro held him tighter, tears streaming. "But you're free now. You saved us. You saved our family." After a long moment, Lissandro looked up at Eleanor. She flinched, expecting rage. Instead, she saw gratitude. "Miss Washington, you risked your life for my son. You broke every rule I gave you." He paused. "And you gave me back everything I'd lost. Mr. Indrizzi, Lissandro, you're not going anywhere. This house needs someone who isn't afraid to break the rules when the rules are killing us. If you'll stay, you'll have a place here. Not as a maid, as part of this family." Lorenzo turned his tear-stained face toward her, his small hand reaching for hers. "Yes," Eleanor whispered, her own hands still trembling from what they'd all survived. "I'll stay." Because Eleanor Washington had done the impossible. She'd broken the Indrizzi curse, exposed a traitor, and reminded a grieving father that sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't breaking the rules, it's following them. And for the first time in 3 years, the Indrizzi mansion wasn't silent. It was filled with the sound of a father learning to talk to his son again, and a boy learning that his voice could still sing. In the months that followed, Lorenzo would hum Stella di Notte in the garden, and Lissandro would smile instead of flinch. The music box would sit on Lorenzo's nightstand, a bridge between the mother he'd lost and the father he'd found again. And Eleanor would finally understand. Sometimes love means singing the forbidden song, even when it might cost you everything. Because silence isn't always safety, and healing begins the moment we find the courage to break the rules that cage us. If this story made you feel something, if Eleanor's courage, Lorenzo's pain, or Lissandro's transformation touched your heart, then it reached you the way I hoped it would. Stories like this remind us that healing is possible, even when silence feels safer than speaking. Don't let this story end here. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss another tale of courage, redemption, and the power of love to break even the darkest chains. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, that it's never too late to find your voice, share this video with them. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had to break the rules to save someone you love? Your story matters. I'll be reading every single one. Until next time, remember, the bravest song is the one everyone told you not to sing.